We are on the section 10.3, page 52, solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. Okay, we said this class, we only learn one thing, right? Mainly is to do what? Solving quadratic equations, right? So we did a few methods. First one you learned was what? By factoring, right? We did a lot. And then last time we did solving quadratic equation by using what? Square root property, right? Square root property is what? One side is a perfect square, right? Something like something square, right? Then another side is a number, right? So equals some kind of number. Then you take a square root on both sides, then you get your answer. Either this one is x or, right? Either x or x plus 1, then you get rid of the square, then you only have x inside, then you can solve easily, right? Then remember, when you do that, when you do use square root property, you use what? Plus and minus sign, because both will work, right? So we say these two things, these two methods are what? Easy, but they don't always work, right? So more complicated situation we learned the last time, we use what? By completing the square method, right? Then you see how complicated it is, but it will always work. It's difficult to use, but it will always work. Okay, today we are going to use something else. It's called what? The quadratic formula. Then see how you work out for you. Okay, so we are saying we are solving quadratic equation. What is a quadratic equation? We keep repeating that, right? Means what? Second degree polynomial with equal to 0, right? So standard form of the quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Equals 0. Standard form. And a, b, c are real numbers, but a cannot be 0 because you need to have a second degree, right? B and c can be 0. Then we say if you have a standard form of quadratic equation, what's your x? Your x is negative b plus minus what? B squared minus 4ac over 2a. All you have to do is just plug in your ABC, you find your answer. Okay? That's it. Some examples. So, we have 2x squared minus 8 equals negative ax, right? we did earlier, that's practice the completing the square again, all right? So let's just review that. Use method 3. We say if we use method 3, what should we do? We need to write, okay, let's write in standard form first for this one, right? Then for completing the square, we need to use 2 terms to decide, okay, to write what? Something to the square thing, right? So we say we use 2 terms first and move the number away to another side. Then we want to make something square, then put the x inside, right? So we don't want to have a 2 there. So we want to divide by 2, right? Then what do we have? X squared plus 4x equals 4, right? Then we said we want to make one side is a complete square, x here, right? Then to do that, you need to have a number to make a square. You do what? Half of a b. 4 is half of b is what? 2, right? Then if you have 2 here, you need to have a third term to complete it, right? So 2 is what? Square. 2, is that right? Then if you add one side, you need to add another side. So what do we have? Equals 8, right? We did this last time. So if we have a complete square, then we can do what? We can square root it, right? So we can get x by itself without square there. However, we say in the meantime, you need to, when you do the square root property, remember, you need to have plus minus sign, right? Then what do we have? Those go away, right? Plus minus square root of 8. In the meantime, we also need to consider the simplest form for the radicals. Same thing as your fractions, right? So that would be what? That would be 2, 2, 2. So plus minus 2 square root of 2, right? You take the root out. Then what do we have? X plus 2 equals plus minus 2 square root of 2, right? It means x plus 2 can be 2 square root of 2, or x plus 2 equals what? Negative square root of 2, right? This way we can get x by itself easily, right? So x is what? Negative 2 plus square root of 2, or what? X equals negative 2 minus 2 square root of 2, right? So that will be your answer. That's what we did by completing the square last time, right? Now, let's see. We are learning the 4th method using the quadratic equation. Let's see how it works for the same problem. So I have 2x squared minus 8 equals negative 8x, right? So what's my a? My a is 2. What's my b? You need to write it in the standard form to decide. So you need to write plus 8x minus 8 equals 0 to the standard form first, right? So what is your b? It's not this negative 8. It's in front of x, so that's 8, right? C is what? Negative 8, right? So the formula tells you, what do? You have negative b is what? 8, right? Plus minus b squared a squared minus 4ac. A is what? 2, c is what? Negative 8. You need to take care of your signs, okay? For each ABC, at the same time, here is minus 2a. What is a? 2, right? Then what do we have? Negative 8 plus minus, here 64, right? Then 4 times 2, 8, 64, plus 64. Negative and negative plus, right? Becomes what? Plus 128 over 4, right? Then we need to simplify our 128. So this is 128, right? Never mind. So you do your trees. So that would be 2 times 2 times 2. That would be 8. 16. What else? Okay. So if you do the trees, 16, 32, 64, another 2. Right, because 64, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, right. Okay, so you take the roots out, square root, root of square, 3 of them, that will be 8 and 2 left, right? So what do you have? Negative 8 plus minus a square root of 2 over 4, right? Then you write separately. Don't combine 8 and 8, right? They are different kind, not like terms with the square root. So you need to do well, understand well on the radical numbers. Okay? Those are real numbers, but you cannot combine them. This 8 and square root 2, square root 2 is what? 1.414 something, right? They multiply together. It's a number, okay? For the accuracy, we keep your square root 2. So we write it separately, right? You need to distribute your 4 for the everything on the numerator, right? So what do we have? Negative 2 plus minus what? 2 square root 2, right? Do we have same answer? Yes, it should. Different methods, but for the same question, we should always get same answer, right? So this one, the formula, it will always work, okay? Because the formula guarantees us that's how it works. So we say your x is what? You just plug in your ABC, you get answer all the way. So you don't need any of the other methods, okay? But sometimes simple one, you can just factor it. And you don't need the completing the square method to do it in a very long way. But we need this method for your 154A class, okay? So to do the circles, ellipse, okay. So, but to solve it, all you need just for what? The formula. It took us 3 months to get here. But we need, in the meantime, we need to know the fractions, polynomials in fraction form, right? Rational equations to solve it. At the same time, we need to know the radicals to solve problems. All you need is just this formula. So for you to remember, we say, what's the x? Right? So we say there is a negative boy, right? Cannot decide positive, negative, whether or not to go to this radical party, right? So for being square, b squared, and he missed these 4 awesome chicks all over 2am. Okay? To help you remember the formula. That's all you need is this formula to solve the quadratic equation. Took us 3 months to get here. In the meantime, we learned different applications and different methods, different way of thinking. Right? Okay, let's see some more examples. Okay, we have 3 examples here. Then we will summarize the quadratic formula. Okay, so we say, what is a quadratic formula? What is the quadratic formula? For solving the quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Equals 0. What's your x? X is what? Negative b plus minus what? B squared minus 4ac over 2a. Right? So first we identify our ABC by writing the standard form. So you plus 9, right? On either side. Then you can see. So what's your A? That would be 25. What's your B? 30. What's your C? 9. Right? So we say the answer X should be just be able to plug in negative B plus minus what? B squared minus 4ac, right? O over 2a. Right? So what's your B? 30. So negative 30 plus minus what? 30 squared minus 4ac. A is 25. C is what? 9. O over 2a. A is what? 25. Right? So what do we have? Negative 30 plus minus 4 times 25 is 100 times 9, 900. 30 squared, 900. So 900 minus 900 is what? 0 over what? 50. Right? So square root of 0 is what? 0. So we have minus 30 over 50. Right? Then the answer is, cancel out, 3/5. How many answers we have? 1 for this one. Okay? We just plug in the formula, then we find our answer. Right? Let's see. Next one. What's the difference between this and other example? We have what? Fractions. Right? And if you plug in the fractions into the radicals, it gets what? Super complicated, which we don't like that. So what do? We just get rid of fractions in the equations, right? Can we do that? By doing what? Multiply its LCD, right? So this one is 8, this one is 1, this one is 2. So we multiply LCD by 8. So 1/8 times 8 would be 1. So x squared plus what? 8x equals what? cancel out, become 4, becomes 20, right? Then what do? We need to write in a standard form, right? So we can find our ABC, right? So what is A? A is 1. What is B? 8. What is C? Negative 20, right? So what is your X? X equals that guy, right? Negative B. So negative B plus minus B squared minus what? 4AC. A is what? 1. C is negative 20 over 2A, right? Then what do we have? Take a look. Here is negative 8 plus minus A squared is 64. Then 4 times 1, 4 times 20, 80. But the negative becomes what? Positive 80 here. 80 plus 64, 144, right? Okay. Then what's the square root of 144? 12, right? It's 2. Then you have 2 answers. That's your X. But don't give me this answer. You need to simplify. Okay? It means what? X can be negative 8 plus 12 over 2, or X equals negative 8 minus, write it separately, right? Then somehow you get confused how to do this. You just do your fractions. Simplify numerator and denominator, right? That's 4 over 2. So it's 4 over 2. That would be what? 2. Then this one, negative 20 over 2. That would be what? Negative 10, right? So how many answers we have? 2 of them. This one we only have 1 answer. This one we have how many answers? 2 answers, right? Including also show you how to handle the fractions when your coefficients are fractions. You can eliminate them by multiplying the LCD. Then you have regular whole numbers as your ABC, right? So what are we doing? We are solving quadratic equations by using the quadratic formula, right? So you write it in standard form and plug in your ABC. Sometimes you have 1 answer, sometimes you have 2 answers so far, right? Then let's look at another one. What's the difference between this one and early ones? The way it's written, okay? Is this still quadratic equation? Yes, but not in a standard form, right? So we can identify our ABC. So first step you need to do is what? To write in standard form. Okay, so we do that. So we have what? 2x squared minus 4x equals negative 5, right? Did I copy the question correctly? Okay. Then we write in standard form, plus 5. So plus 5, what do we have? 2x squared minus x plus 5 equals 0, right? So what's your A? 2. What's your B? Negative 4. What's your C? 5. Right? Am I right? Oops. Yes. Okay? Then we do what? ABC things, plug in, right? So x is what? Negative a, negative 2 plus minus what? B squared. B squared is negative 4. You have to take a square. Make sure you have parentheses around it. Otherwise, you don't do it right. Right? B squared, the whole B. B squared minus 4AC. A is what? 2. C is 5. Right? O over 2A. 2A. A is 2. So what do we have? Negative 2 plus minus. Let's see. That's a 16. 16. 4 times 2, 8 times 5, 40. 16 minus 40 is what? Negative 24. Right? And 4. Then, how should we answer the question? You can split them, write it, and simplify. However, we said for the even root, can we have a negative inside? We cannot. So what's your x? We say doesn't exist or no real solution. Right? Either way will be fine. Why? Like before, we have one solution, we have two solutions. What happened to this one? Why it doesn't have a real solution? Because when we did the quadratic formula, square root of b squared minus 4ac, inside of the square root end up what? A negative number, right? So it's a negative number, it ends up with what? No solution, right? No real solution. So for any quadratic equation, you might have one solution, two solutions, or no real solutions. Doesn't exist. Why it makes such difference? So we are going to summarize that. So the inside here is 0 because you plus minus, you end up what? With two different numbers, you have two answers, right? However, if inside is 0, square root 0 is 0, then your plus minus sign is gone. You only have what? One answer here, right? If inside you have a positive number, then you have square root, then you have two answers, right? Or if the inside you have a negative number, what will end up? You have no real solutions, right? All because the inside of the radical. And inside of radical is what? This guy, right? B squared minus 4ac. It would determine, your ABC, then b squared minus 4ac, it would determine your answer would be what? One solution, one real solution, two real solutions, or no solutions, no real solutions, right? So this guy inside to decide, then look at your page 53. So this guy will decide b squared minus 4ac, which is inside the radical, right? Even radical. So this guy to decide, then we'll give it a name. Okay, on your page 53, we call this guy what? Discriminant. right? If I wanted to decide what kind of solutions I might have, I don't have to do all those. I just look at the inside, b squared minus 4ac to decide if I have solutions, real solutions or not. Then we call this discriminant, right? So when this guy is 0, what will happen? We will have, if 0, we have what? One solution, right? If this guy, so you have situation, if this guy is what? Bigger than 0, what do we have? We have 2 real solutions, right? This guy. Then if this guy b squared minus 4ac like here, if it's less than 0, what do we have? We have no real solution. We have fake one, but we don't talk about that. That will be in your pre-calculus class or calculus, right? So, or we could say doesn't exist. Or we can say that. No solutions. Doesn't exist. Okay? So, we can just use b squared minus 4ac to decide what kind of solutions we might have. Okay? Then inside is what? b squared minus 4ac. And we don't have to actually solve it. If we need to solve it, we use the quadratic formula, right? If we don't have to solve it, we can just use this one to decide. Okay? So some of your homework is saying what kind of solutions you might have. And instead of solving it, we can just do what? Use the discriminant to decide, okay? If you have this one, we say, what kind of solutions we have? Do we have a real solutions or not? This one is what? One real solution, and this one is what? 2 real solutions, right? So what type solutions we might have? So what do we need to do? We have to decide by what? We have to decide it by b squared minus 4ac. So what's your a? What's your b? What's your c? You have to write it in standard form to decide, right? So your a is what? 12. Your b is what? -4. Your c is what? 5. Instead of actually solving it, we just use b squared minus 4ac. So b squared minus 4ac, b is what? -4 squared minus 4a is 12, c is what? 5, right? So what do we have? That would be 16 minus 22, 40. Am I right? Here, b squared, b is 4, -14, minus 4, a, and c, 62, 40. Right. So that would be what? -222. Is that right? Wait, where did I get that? 240 minus 16, 224. That looks strange. I wonder. Okay, -224. So it's bigger than 0 or smaller than 0, less than 0. So what kind of solutions we have? We should have. It will be what? No real solution, right? Or doesn't exist. So that's how we decide quickly instead of actually solving it. So look at the next one, 2x squared plus 5 equals 0, right? So to decide what kind of solutions, so we do this. What's your A? -2, right? What's your B? Write in standard form. What's your C? 5, right? Then what's our B squared minus 4AC? That will be 9 squared minus 4 times -2 times 5, right? So that would be 81 plus 20 plus 40. Is that right? So it's 121. So 121 is bigger than 0. What kind of solutions we have? We should have here, right? 2 real solutions. Right? So we are deciding what kind of solutions we might have for a quadratic equation, right? So writing in standard form, what's your A? That would be 9. What's your B? If you move here, would be -6, right? So you write in standard form to see it first. What's your C? 1. So B squared minus 4AC, the discriminant would be B squared -6 squared minus 4AC, right? That would be 36, 36. You end up with what? 0. Then what kind of solutions do you have? 1 real solution, right? That's how we decide what kind of solutions for your quadratic equations instead of actually solving it. Use the discriminant to decide. You can decide right away. Okay? So finally, we get to use what? Quadratic formula and the discriminant. That would be our section 10.3, page 52.